What's going on, everybody? This is Silas Knowles, the ZB Pirate. This is the PB Podcast from pushboundconsulting.com. We are an educational consulting firm specializing in the best professional development in the world. I just don't say that because I do this podcast. It is legit. We have 16 team members spanning throughout the globe, from China to Louisiana to Buffalo, New York to Chicago to Zion, Illinois, cheap plug, to Arizona to Vegas. We're all over the place. But if you're looking for that specialized professional development for your school, no matter what it is, student voice, equity, anything you need to have your staff members inspired, consider us, pushboundconsulting.com. You can send us an email for any inquiries at info@pushboundconsulting@gmail.com. You can DM me at ZBPirate on Twitter. You could, reach out to us on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, YouTube page, basically everything social media, carrier pigeon, whatever the case may be. Another week. The vaccine is going out strong, going and talking about vaccines, and the numbers are coming down, and we just got the word restaurants are starting to open up. So educators, administrators, superintendents, guys are doing an awesome job. Please keep going. I know the hybrid models are starting to come back through. We're starting to push the hybrid in. Kids are starting to come back in the building. Fingers crossed, sometime soon we'll have full-blown everyone comes back in the building. So, that's full-blown. Who knows? It's been a weird 2020. It's been a weird 2021. So, it's up and down and all around. So today, I got my buddy Mike on the horn, and we're going to talk about how to be a superintendent in the realm of COVID and everything. Mike Lubelfeld, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Silas. Silas, it is great to be here, and I'm grateful to you for letting me spend some time with you. This is fantastic. So good evening, my friend.
Oh, good evening. I know, right? It's dark. It's 5 o'clock. I'm still not getting used to this anymore, man. So Mike Lubelfeld, definitely a boundary pusher and everything he's done. Author, speaker, superintendent. You have a partner in crime from Leiden, District 212. I've done my homework. And he's written 2 books with a third coming out in a couple months, I want to say. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What's the title of that one?
The book coming out in May is The Unfinished Leader, School Leadership Framework for Growth and Development.
Okay. So now, Mike, for anyone who doesn't know who you are and everything else, how about you let everyone know who you are? How did you get to this position in life? How did you get to being a superintendent? What's the story?
All right. Well, it is cool to be here, Silas. Thank you for the great work you do. Thank you for pushing boundaries, and your whole crew is amazing. So about 30 years ago, I became a public school teacher. I started in Bensonville, Illinois. I taught 8th grade and 6th grade social studies. Greatest job in the world. Absolute greatest job, and it was an awesome place. And I had a mentor, Jim Newland, the assistant principal, and Jim saw things in me that I didn't realize, and he pushed me along and guided me to be an administrator. And I never thought I wanted to go to the dark side, and now I've been on this side for a long time. So in 97, I went to Highland Park, and I became a teacher there, social studies, civics and reading and law and everything. It was cool, 8th grade and 6th grade. And then as a lark, I threw my hat in the ring to be associate principal. Well, you never know what you wish for, right? Be careful what you wish for. So in 1988, right, I become the associate principal at Elm Place Middle School, grades 4 through 8. And again, great mentors, coaches, people. And I ultimately became the principal there. And then I was assistant superintendent for personnel services, or HR, for about 4 years, from 2006 to 2010. And then, I got my doctorate, I got married, we got a couple kids, everything. And I thought, gosh, maybe I should dip my toe and become a superintendent. Again, guardian angels, great leaders, mentors, and coaches guided me, right? So I went to Norwich, and I became the superintendent of Penoyer School from 2010 to 2013. And it was me and Sue Maselli, the principal. We were the only administrators. And then I went to Deerfield from 2013 to 2018. And my wife and I, Stephanie, raised our 2 kids here in Deerfield. So I was the superintendent where my kids went to school, which was neat. And then back in 2018, I went back to North Shore 112, where I've been superintendent now for my 3rd year. So 30 months, and almost 12 of them in a pandemic. So 11 years superintendent. Nick Polyak's my brother from another mother. He and I do Aspiring Superintendent Academy statewide, nationally. We've written 3 books together, and with PJ Capozzi, another superintendent, we got our 2nd book, like you said, coming out in May. So I don't know. I hope that wasn't too much babbling, but there's a lot going on.
Not at all. I mean, now, first of all, God bless your wife, because your wife's probably the most forgiving person on earth, being a superintendent. I mean,
Yes.
how is it, for the people who are aspiring superintendents and aspiring administrators and leaders out there, what's the one piece of advice you can give them to kind of navigate these waters, and these pandemic waters, or coming out of this pandemic? I mean, what's the one thing that you can offer them to help them on their journey, and maybe they're like afraid to dip their toe in the pool so far, and what can they do?
Such a great question. So first off, always stay true to your core values, period. So I tell aspiring superintendents, and anybody, even aspiring administrators, if you're going to leave the classroom and you're going to go work for your administration, number one, do your homework on the superintendent and the board. Make sure that the board and superintendent are aligned to your core values. If you feel them, if you're aligned, go for it and try it, right? If anything makes you uncomfortable or you don't like something, don't go just for the job. There's plenty of jobs. So never compromise your core values. Be you. Always be you. Next thing is be humble. I'm older. I've been doing this a long time. I'm blessed with great opportunities. I certainly am still unfinished. Shameless plug for the book. Got a lot to learn every day, man. I'm learning every single day, and especially in this pandemic. No joke. So be humble. Don't be a know-it-all, because we don't know it all. We know a lot, but we don't know it all. Third one is listen. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? We've been told that for a long time. Listen. And if you're going to be a superintendent, make sure you understand what it's like to work with a 7-person unit that is your boss, that is your employer. And those 7 people are individuals. It's the coolest part of the job, sometimes the hardest part of the job. You got 7 best friends, you got 7, spouses, you got 7 everything. But as a unit, they're the ones that rule the roost. So I'll leave it at that.
I was going to say, it's just like, so any aspiring administrators or anything, basically what you're saying is I should take a copy of this podcast and give it to your staff of the schools that you superintend over. It'd be like, well, here you go. This is the insight on your boss, and then they can see how they align with you. So there you go.
Sounds good to me. I love teachers.
My superintendent, so don't.
I'm a huge fan. Let me tell you, man, your superintendent's a rock star, and no joke, true story. Every year for the past couple of years, he has come to the Illinois Aspiring Superintendent Academy to give our aspiring superintendents a pep talk, a leadership story. So when he was in his preceding district, and now that he's in your current district, he's a regular part of the Illinois Aspiring Superintendent Academy.
Wow, I did not know. See, food for thought. That's knowledge. Knowledge is power. Go, Joe.
There you go. That's right.
So, talking about your journey and everything else, what have you learned most about being a superintendent in this wonderful time that we've been in?
I'll tell you this. We've got to focus on the safety of our students and staff. And I want to be real clear. I love students. I was a teacher. I got a teacher's heart. I wrote the book Student Voice with Nick and PJ. Superintendent, what's best for students and staff. We can't ever lose sight of the fact that not only are we an employer, or an agent of the board, so to speak, but we're colleagues and coworkers. So a superintendent's got to make sure that he or she is providing the absolute best educational opportunities for children, period. We've got to break down the barriers, close those opportunity gaps, and make sure we believe in the belief and value that each child is of value regardless of the box we check. At the same time, we have to always keep in mind, never lose sight, that our teachers, educational support staff, the auxiliary staff, they're part of the team. And never lose sight of the fact that we've got to support them, take care of them, and make sure that it's a whole 360-degree approach, Silas, that we're working on a really complex system with adults and children, and it's always that and, it's not an or.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I mean, with the support staff, I mean, we wouldn't survive if we didn't have our support staff. My mentorship, actually, your colleague from Leiden, there's a connection with me because one of my mentors used to work for 30 years as a teacher in his school when I was going to Roosevelt. Does the name Greg Cozy mean anything to you?
You know, it's funny. COZI?
COZZI.
Maybe.
Wrestling coach, official, and everything else. Yeah. And he had always said, like, when I was student teaching in Des Plaines at a middle school, and I'm a high school teacher, and they put me in a middle school because unfortunately that was the only thing I can get. And he even told me, he's like, look, your first thing you do is you make best friends with the janitor, the secretary, and all the support staff in the entire building, because that is the key to every job, any job you get, your first contract job and everything else. And ever since then, that's the first thing I do. The copy lady, you always make sure they get chocolate. You always make sure everything else, because those are the people that actually run the school and make sure the school runs. And just that support staff needs that much as if more love than the teachers do and then the administrators do, because they're the ones that really take the brunt of things we don't even see and we don't even experience. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just, it floors me sometimes when I think about it.
Yeah, well said. Beautifully stated. I have an executive assistant named Audrey. I absolutely love Audrey, and she and I worked together in Deerfield for 5 years, and I was grateful that she was willing to come with me here to North Shore 112. So we've been together for 8 years. So my wife, Stephanie, says Audrey's my work wife, and I couldn't do my job without her. And she's just a leader, a confidant, a friend, just someone I count on. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely an education. Anyone who has a wife or a husband who's a teacher, they got to understand that work wife, work husband thing. It's just a thing, and it's nothing bad. It's just a tag. I had a work wife in Rockford. It's like, it was just a thing. So now when we come to 2021 and how we came out of 2020, I'll turn myself. How do you see yourself in your district or your area pushing boundaries, if you will, taking what you learned from 2020 and how we came out of it and making yourself, your area, the people you manage, the people you oversee better in 2021? What boundaries are you going to push on them to make them better educators, better leaders, better whatever the case may be?
Wow, that's a really great question. So first of all of the leaders that I work with, all the teachers and all the support staff and my board, they make me a far better leader than I ever was, never could be. So it is a huge team lift, and literally they're the air that kind of lifts me up, and they're the support. One of the things that I've learned, and I love to share with that any way I can, is the concept of adaptive change being within our grasp, because we've got evidence of adaptive changes that we've made in the last 11 months that are actually changing the structures and are actually going to improve what we do. And I'll talk specifics in a sec. We also have a degree of resilience or resiliency, whatever the right word there is, that I don't believe any of us realized we had the capacity for. And I think we also have a different appreciation for the home-school connection and relationship than we've ever had. So if we take those three things, one, our ability to actually change because we've done it and we're doing it, our resilience or resiliency, ability to really just take it, through no choice, and this different lens inside the lives of our homes, of our children, even if it's a black box on Zoom and you're not seeing it, just knowing the connections we've got with the home and school. We're in the living room of every family. Never before in the history of public schools, and probably private schools, probably any education, has this scale of at-home existence and at-home presence ever been there. And I think because of that, there's a different level of openness that we've got. So concrete, just kind of brief reprisal, if I may, March 12th, 2020, we announced that we're closing. March 13th, there's no school in most of the schools. March 17th in Illinois, schools are closed. And we're all sitting here saying, what just happened? What are we doing? Where are we? In 112, we did not have an e-learning plan. We did not have remote learning, and we were not 1-to-1 K2. And we didn't really pedagogically or teachery or school districty have a 1-to-1 program for 3A. So we quickly rustled together some online resources that sounded good, and for some kids they were good, for others they were bad, for others it was meh, right? We then launched our teacher communication and committee saying, okay, we need an e-learning committee because we've never done this before. People had different ideas, right? Silas were like, well, we should teach live for 8 hours a day, or we should do this, or we obviously worked out a far more reasonable plan, and the teacher had voice and everybody was involved. Yet all of a sudden we got this March through April, April through May, May through June. We start getting in a groove, and each time we do a little more, we do a little better. So we've got fast, really for education, lightning fast, response change. So we can continue that without driving ourselves crazy or pushing us over the edge in the future. But no, we can do something in 2 months, not 2 years. Then we have our June through August. All right, what's up? Yeah, okay, it's not abrupt anymore. It's not a surprise. We're in it. So we launch 5 committees, teams of teachers, support staff, administrators, parents, board member. We have union leadership, and we say, okay, here's where we're going. So we operate arm in arm. We don't always agree on everything, but we talk with each other and we listen to one another. We came up with plans. We do not let perfect be the enemy of good in 112. We do a good job. Then when we can do a little better, we do a little better. We can make it even better, we make it better, but it's not perfect, and we know that. It's flawed, we're flawed, and we acknowledge that. We understand that we can make things better by listening to our parents, our teachers, and our students. Rinse and repeat. And we're resilient because it's stressful to be working at work when you're scared, and I acknowledge and understand and empathize. Some people are scared, I get it. It's difficult to work in a condition that's far different than a working condition we agreed to or we thought of. And again, before I close these remarks, I'm proud that we've negotiated like 6 memoranda of understanding with our labor units to say, we're changing working conditions together, we're impacting working conditions, let's just figure it out what makes sense. And we've gone and gone and gone, and we've proven that we're not only surviving, but in a lot of areas we're thriving. And where we're not doing good enough, we're talking about it honestly, and we're trying to figure it out together to do a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's just, we do so much and we try so much, and from the leadership down, it's like, I can't speak for everyone. I could speak, it's like, if you were my superintendent right now, it's like, look, the guy's doing the best he can because no one's ever done this ever before in life. It's like, when have you ever thought when you were 25, yeah, 2020, there'll be a pandemic and we'll wear masks and, people will be afraid of dying and everything else. It's like, no. I mean, do you remember a few years ago? I know I did because I was talking to somebody, but a few years ago, you would always wonder you see those pictures of individuals in Japan and China. They would be wearing masks, and you would be like, why are they wearing masks? What's going on? Who would have thunk, that kind of thing? It's crazy. It's just crazy.
It's unbelievable. Silas, I was in China last year speaking at an international conference with educators from all over the world, Asia, Europe, Africa, North America. And I was giving a presentation on student voice, and Nick was giving one on unlearning leader. And there's a sizable amount of people in Beijing and Shijiazhuang, where we were in Hebei province, wearing the masks. And it was like, that's so interesting. Never did I ever envision that months later, I'd be donning a mask with my school's logo or, this or that. And now I'm thinking we're probably going to be wearing masks for a long time, even with the vaccinations and everything else. It is something new. It speaks to our general resiliency as a culture and as a profession. We're going to figure it out and we're going to make it work.
It's that one thing. I think, at least we'll be wearing masks. I've had students ask me, and Mr. Knowles, are we going to be wearing masks for a while? Yeah. It's like, Do we have to? Yeah. It's you know, it's
Yeah.
one of those non-negotiables. It's like, look, I don't like wearing them. If you're gonna wear one, hey, if you're gonna wear one, make it stylish. Go buy the nice frou-frou designs, whatever you want to call them, whatever. You know, just make it stand out. But it's just one of those things. It's just I never thought in our day. I mean, I don't know how I'm 46. I don't know how apart in age we are, but we were in our 20s, coming out of high school, going into college, coming out of college. Never. We have a pandemic where everything. All right, the whole world is closed. That's it. No, it's just the world, not just McDonald's down the street. The world is closed.
Everything. I mean, no, I'm 52, so I'm not that far from you. I look a lot older because this job is really stressful.
Hey, I got a couple. I at least got some here, but you know, with
I used to.
With teaching, you could talk to next time you talk to Jesse. I mean, they do put us through the ringer. I mean, come on, they gotta put us through the ringer. If you were to, what's the one thing that you would have done differently last year if you knew what was coming? Like, would there be anything you would have done differently?
Yeah, I would have convened our teachers and students together from our Modern Learning Committee, which produced our Portrait of a Graduate, which is amazing. And Jeremy Wickham, our Director of Technology, and I are presenting on the On-Demand IDEA and TCEA conference actually next week on student leadership and through our Portrait of a Graduate Modern Learning Committee. But had I had an inkling of this, I would have brought us together and accelerated how are we going to effectuate and implement the Portrait of a Graduate, meaning is our technological infrastructure sufficient to maybe scale up distance learning on an exponential level? And the answer would have been, what? No, why? Absolutely not. We found out our devices are substandard and subpar, not on purpose, but because they never were supposed to be scaled for continuous audio, video, web-based learning management system, multiple tabs, this and that. The Chromebooks we have in grades 3-8 are, we just didn't get good enough Chromebooks. So again, our materials are bad. No offense to anybody. So our K2, they weren't even one-to-one. We didn't even talk to our parents and get their opinions. What does it mean if we're going to put a device in the hand of your child every day? We didn't even have an opinion study. We just said, hi, we're in a pandemic. We're kind of panicking. Here's a device. Go with us. And they said, okay. So teachers had no voice in any of this like abrupt change. We went with a learning management system. We sort of mandated this and that. I don't operate that way typically. I don't normally do that. It would have been inclusive and would have tried a few things and asked a few other folks like in Huntley where they've got a really robust program in learning management, or Leiden where they're doing great work, and other areas. We didn't do any of that. So I would have done all of that. We would have done site visits. We literally on a dime shifted, moved, and probably we still haven't even stopped working. Some of my staff, I'm so afraid of the stress this is putting under them right now. So wow, we would have done so much more to push our boundaries better, even though we did great. No criticism at all, just an honest acknowledgement. We were caught underprepared. And again, we're doing a decent job.
That, like, no offense to Google and Chromebooks, we love you. However, it doesn't do the job. I mean, we as a staff, we are, and I don't know about yours, but ours, we have Chromebooks and stuff. And a lot of us were forced to, our technology department, which is great, is, we're upgrading our devices for the teachers to Windows-based PCs to handle the stress of what we're doing. But a lot of us are using our own personal devices like MacBooks and PCs. And I went out and bought a PC because I'm just like, well, first of all, I'll just put it on my taxes as a write-off, number one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and two, I need to be prepared with the proper technology because I'm the tech guy. I'm the one who pulls out the Pear Deck and the Flipgrid and the Edpuzzle and all sorts of stuff. And I'm the one who's giving PD on it. So I'm just like, I need to be able to do it because the Chromebooks I'm cutting off like every 3 minutes and dropping calls and stuff. So it's just like, it's getting to the point. It's getting better. Like you said, it is getting better, and it's getting to the point where it's reaching its plateau where it's manageable. I hope we never have to go back to this. I know education will change for the better, the worse, whatever you want to call it. But I just hope we plateau and we just get to a level that we can just get back to teaching kids and having those relationships and having that engagement and having that social, emotional and stuff. So my last question, I always like to ask, so how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
First of all, I'm a huge fan of Rick and Rebecca and everybody in the crew. I am so honored that they asked me to write a piece for the, for this 100 stop program, and it's coming out in the spring. I love the idea that we just get to the point, make it clear, and say, look, it's okay. We need that not to do list. We need that weed the garden list. We've got to stop doing this, this, and this, because we need to liberate ourselves, liberate our children, liberate our families. It's 2021, and the world has changed, brother. It's time for us to change too. No more waiting.
So now this, I have to tell you, I got to give you that little insight. And for everyone listening that can't see, because we're on the audio as well, the 100 project, 100 no nonsense things that all teachers should stop doing. Now, this isn't a project saying teachers are bad and teachers are negative or whatever. It's just that we've all seen something that we all say, I wish they'd stop doing that. I wish they'd knock it off. I wish they'd do this. And just to give Mike, to give you some insight, in talking with Rick as much as I do, he had a list of 762 people for this project and had to cut down the list to 100 like a soccer coach. So he had the list and just whoosh, 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 all the way down. So the biggest collaborative educational book I think ever taken on is coming. And guys, please be on the lookout. We will talk about it more on the podcast as time goes on. But Mike, now what's the title of your chapter?
I want to say it's chapter 96. I know they've reordered it. Stop being afraid to present. Stop being afraid to show your excellence. Oftentimes, teachers are doing such great work and such creative work, and they're afraid to lead a professional development. They don't want to be showy. They don't want to upstage their colleagues. We've been raised to just kind of keep it to ourselves. So don't stop being afraid. And I share a couple of insights why teachers should always share their excellence, and why we in administration should simply look around the corner of our current schools to get a lot of the experts to lead the professional learning. That's the impetus of it, or the genesis of it.
Definitely. Yeah, mine is stop being friends with your students.
Yeah.
Mine originally was chapter 2. I think Rebecca reshuffled me into like chapter 47 and a half or something. I don't know where I am anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know where I am anymore, but I mean, we got 3 more in the pipeline after this one gets out. So there will be a 4-book series on the 100.
Nice. I'm honored to be part of it. Grateful to be part of it. And if any teacher can be encouraged to really show her or his excellence to their colleagues and the whole profession, we learn a lot more if we simply ask. And then stop being afraid or stop putting boundaries up on our own colleagues where we thwart their creative juices. We got to let it out.
And this year, I mean, when we started with education, with all this new educational technology, before this whole pandemic, I kept pushing Edpuzzle, Classcraft, Flipgrid, Pear Deck, all this stuff. And then when this happened, I was the one giving the PDs on Friday afternoons, doing the stuff and everything else. I'm just like, I told you we need it one day. I told you it was coming, but I told you it was coming, but and that's the thing, just spreading the knowledge. Like today, I found a goofy soundboard to use during virtual learning, and I just shared it with the whole staff, and everyone's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm like, it's just a goofy soundboard, but it's just, to your point, just putting it out there, sharing what you have, because somebody else could be like, wow. And it would actually take and really upscale their lessons, upscale their engagement, and upscale whatever they do. It's just one of those things. Mike, social medias, where can anyone find you?
At Mike Lubelfeld on Twitter. I've got a profile on LinkedIn. I co-moderate Soup Chat, SUPTCHAT, the first Wednesday of every month with Nick Polyak, 7 p.m. Central. All are welcome at Soup Chat. It's not limited to superintendents. our district has a Facebook presence to try to get to as many places as we can to find people. But Twitter is my main go-to.
No Facebook. No Facebook for you, Mike. No
Facebook.
No Instagram. No Periscope. No Twitter.
I'm on Instagram a little bit. I have to ask my daughter how to use it, but I'm getting better. Definitely Periscope.
Have you gotten on the TikTok?
Not yet, but it's on my phone, so I'm one step closer, Silas.
I'm telling you, once you get on there, and not to post things, but just to watch, it's ridiculous. You lose hours just looking at either the brilliance, the stupidity, but they have teachers of TikTok, and they're giving up like some gems of information, of Google extensions, Chrome extensions. Okay. Websites, like things that I'm pulling. I'm like, okay, save video. Okay, that looks interesting. Save video. All right, I might use that. So like just looking around and looking and teachers at TikTok it's blown. Like teachers are really getting behind this. It's really a wonder to see. Yeah, it's really a wonder to see. So
I may have to take some homework from you, my friend, and get in there.
I'm telling you, Mike, just to be mindful of your time. I do appreciate you. I do appreciate your efforts. I do appreciate what you do. This is, you know what? It's another Friday and we're all going to go back. Anything you want to say to educators before we go?
I want to say educators are heroes. Teaching is the most noble profession there is. Thank you, and thank you. And you're appreciated. God bless you. So thank you, Silas, for all you do. And thank everybody. It's been a real pleasure spending some time with you today.
Oh, definitely. Pleasure. We love having you. We love having everyone on the show. At pushboundconsulting.com. This is the PB Podcast. I'm Silas Knowles at ZB Pirate. Follow me on Twitter if you like to follow my usual ramblings every day. But just remember, we're always pushing boundaries of the classroom, either virtually or in person. And always remember, we're here for our students. Mike, be safe, brother. We'll talk soon.
Take care. Thanks.